Bakugo sat still, his leg nervously bouncing up and down beneath the table of the conference room. He was shocked. He was anxious. He was lost. He didn't know what to do or what to think at this point. The picture on the table was spread out before him, showing him the undeniable truth, the thing he would never thought possible. You were a villain. He wasn't sure how it was even possible in the slightest. You, his sweet and caring wife, were a villain, one of the most powerful villains out there. You were someone that the pro had finally slid to the top of the high alert list. A lump had formed in Bakugo's throat as he stared at the pictures. The other people in the room were mostly silent. The only sound in the room was the back and forth pacing of Kirishima, who was also shocked at the discovery. Zero finally spoke, taking a deep breath. So, we've concealed this from the press, Zero murmured. Bakugo burned holes as he glared at the picture. Zero frowned. No one but us in this room and the photographer who took this photo knew of this. Ground Zero. Bakugo clenched his jaw. We're hoping we can settle this peacefully. Peacefully? Kaminari repeated. He did that an exasperated huff. Do you have any idea of her reputation? She shot a demon. This is a major villain we're talking about here. It's not her. Bakugo growled. Everyone in the room looked at him. She doesn't even have a quirk. Do you know that for sure? Kaminari asked, his eyes narrowing. She told me she didn't. Kaminari rolled his eyes. Huh, you've met her after we graduated. She could have been lying to you this whole time. I wouldn't put it past her. If she's a villain, of course she would act like a treacherous snake. Bakugo launched out of the air, explosion popping off of his hands. Kirishima and Zero were fast in grabbing around him, keeping him from launching at Kaminari. Don't you ever talk about my wife like that again. Bakugo hissed. Hey, calm down, Bakugo. Kirishima hissed, holding him back as he tried to break free. I'm just pointing at the facts that are in front of us. Kaminari hissed back. Picture don't mean shit. Yeah, how do you know what she does and do this stuff when you leave the house, huh? Silence rang out. The two paused, not losing their grip on Bakugo at all. Bakugo glared at the floor. His eyes slid, looking at the picture of the villain that everyone had been trying to get their end of months before. He clenched his fist. Listen, bro. She's your wife, Ground Zero. Kaminari muttered. He looked away, knowing his friend was going to hell right now. I hate to say it, but you know her, mask or not. Bakugo was silent. Zero and Kirishima released him. Bakugo shook his anger and hurt. Kaminari was right. He knew it. He just didn't want to believe it. Zero sighed, moving up and picking up Bakugo's chair that had fallen to the floor. Kirishima pushed down on Bakugo's shoulder, making him sit in the chair. She's your wife, Ground Zero. What do you want to do? Kirishima asked him. Bakugo didn't answer, so Zero sighed, moving back to his boat. You have a few options there. Like what? Bakugo growled, and Kaminari huffed. Yes, seriously, it's not like there's some stupid pamphlet we can get to fix this or anything. Kaminari muttered. Bakugo glanced at him, his brow pinching together. The pamphlet So You Marrying a Villain isn't exactly on the shelf at counseling centers. Bakugo sneered at him in annoyance. Zero interrupted with a sigh and crossed his arms, staring down at the picture on the table. Well, option 1, we confront her. We see if she's been doing it and then we go from there. Confront her? And what if she uses her quirk on us? Kaminari muttered. Bakugo glared hold at him. So Kaminari looked away. I'm sorry. I'm having some trouble wrapping my hand around this. It's a listener we're talking about. She's just... His eyes stared at the pictures, his eyebrows pinching together. I don't know. She's different now. Option 2, We capture her and take her into custody, questioning her after she already being bars. Sarah brought up. Bakugo felt sick to his stomach at the image of you behind bars. A small explosion popped at his hand from the vision. Kirishima let out a nervous noise. Capture her? Come on, Cellophane, she's... He trailed off. Sarah sighed. His eyes flicked to look at Bakugo. Bakugo felt like his world was falling apart. He didn't know what to do. You were a villain. The love of his life was a villain. And he was a pro-hero. He couldn't figure out why you were a villain. It couldn't have been the money. He made damn good money as a pro. He ground his teeth. What if you enjoyed killing people? He swallowed. A flash of the image of your happy and smiling self ran through his head. Not that couldn't be it. He sighed, trying to think about where this whole came from. What had started this? The only reason you were at such high spot on the pros capture list was because you had assassinated a person in high position of power. The Japanese government wanted revenge. So they started investigating you. More kills came up. People over the years that had disappeared mysteriously or been assassinated without so much as a trace of the killer. Money disappearing from account that indicated you were being paid for your killings. And now there were photos of the media was calling you Shadow Demon. Picture that were unmistakably you. Ground Zero, you need to make a choice. I'll do it. Bakugo muttered. The other blinked, looking at him. Bakugo moved, pushing up from the table. He swept the file of picture from the table. Wait, Grunzy! Bakugo turned to leave the room. Hey! Kirishima started after him. Bakugo turned, giving his friend a hard look, his red eyes burning. She's my wife. I'll take care of it. You looked up at the sound of your front door opening filled your ears. You blinked, your eyes turning back to the dishes you had been washing. Hey, that's you, babe? You called out. You moved, turning the water off as the door shut. You dried your hands. Hey, you're home early. You moved around the kitchen, pausing as you spotted Bakugo standing there, still in his hair side up. You blinked at him. Oh, you're still in costume? I thought it could be bad if someone followed you home. You were interrupted as Bakugo started walking towards you. Hey! You stepped back. Bakugo activated his quirk, small explosion popping off at his hand. You stiffened. Bakugo kept towards you. Hey! Wait, Katsuki! He stomped towards you. You stumbled backward, tripping on the floor. You kept scrambling back. The fear that he was affected by a villain's quirk launched through your mind. You felt the wall behind you. Turning and glancing ahead, Bakugo moved, raising his hands, prepared to blast at you. Fear lanced through you. You acted of instinct to protect yourself, flicking fast into the shadow of the hallway beside you and disappearing. Bakugo stood still, his heart sinking into his stomach. You paused as you poked your head out of the shadow. Seeing that he had paused in his movement, he lowered his hands. You saw the flash of betrayal and the heart running through his eyes. Your brow pinched together. Katsuki? Bakugo was silent. His fear had been confirmed. You had lied about your quirk. That had to be you in those pictures. There were no mistaking him now. His chest felt heavy. He wanted to cry. He wanted to scream. You had lied to him. You had betrayed him. You lied to me. You went rigid. You moved, standing above the shadow. You mean about my quirk? Bakugo gave you a hard look. You stiffened, surprised that the red eyes that normally stared at you with love were stone cold. He tossed something down on the floor at your feet, holding eyes contact. You blinked, looking down at the scattered picture of you. Your eyes went wide. There were a picture of you in your villain costume there, unsuspecting to the photographer taking them. You lied to me about everything, about who you are, about your quirk. You were silent. Bakugo clenched his fist, standing still. Yes, traced over the photo of you frowning. What else did you lie about? You looked up at him. What? Did you lie about loving me? Did you lie about caring that I was a pro? Is that why you're doing this? Your eyes went wide. What? No, never. I never lied about my feeling for you, and the fact that you're a pro doesn't even have anything to do with. Then what the fuck didn't you tell me? What the fuck didn't you stop after we get married? He opened your mouth, unsure of what to tell him. He shook his anger. He stepped forward. You could have stopped. You could have let your past get buried and no one would know, and yet you just... Bakugo looked away, tearing his gaze from you. Silence stung in the air like the stinging of 1,000 bees. Bakugo turned, moving toward you fast. You tensed up, prepared to move away. You stopped as you saw the angry tears foaming in his eyes. Am I not enough for you? Do you need to do more? Make more money? Take less jobs? A lump formed in your throat at seeing him like this. He grabbed you by your upper arms. His red eyes burned with emotion, almost pleading for something from you. Please tell me what I was doing wrong. Katsuki, you... His grip tightened on your arms. He leaned forwards, pressing his forehead to your shoulder. You're killing people. You're taking the life of people who don't deserve it. Why? You frowned. Don't deserve it? Bakugo should. Innocent people that don't deserve it. You're wrong. What? They deserve it, Katsuki. I'll never take a life that doesn't need to be taken. I never do things without reason. You murmured. Bakugo gave you a confused look, lifting up from your shoulder. His tears had already spilled out and over his cheeks, showing how distressed he was. He swallowed. I take the lives that hero would seek to protect instead. His face contorted into a defensive expression. You what? The people I kill have dark secrets, Katsuki. He stared at you in confusion, not understanding what you were saying. The lives of pedophiles, rapists, sex traffickers, money launderers, landlords who let the tenant live in filth, people who refuses to make the world a better place, and who only seek to be bad, the secret villains. You moved, smiling at him gently. You're just misunderstanding me. I'm not doing anything wrong. Bakugo could hardly believe his ears. His heart was pounding as you gave him the sweetest smile you normally gave him every day. That smile that had drawn him to the from to every beginning, like a fly getting caught in a spider's web. You reached out and put your hand on his cheek. Bakugo's eyes were wide in horror. Your gaze was as soft as his held scarlet one, as if you were trying to calm down a small child. He felt small. He felt like a child. But your calming wasn't working just like you would want it to. Instead, he was scared of you. He was realizing that he had truly been caught in your web, like you were a spider, and he, the stupid fly who had gone in too curious, too close. His soft smile was poison. Your touch was so gentle and warm on his cheek, so familiar and calming. The kind that sent tingles straight through him, and yet it was foreign, like it didn't know you anymore. I'm cleansing the world of those people who do harms to others. I'm not a villain when compared to them. Bakugo tore you away from you in shock. You've killed people. I told you what they did doesn't matter. You stiffened. You lowered your hand from where it shot away from you. He couldn't think straight. It doesn't matter that they've ruined all these people's lives. Those are lives you've taken, family you've ruined. Don't you care about that? Bakugo growled. You frowned. Do they really deserve family when they ruin others' people? You retorted. Bakugo couldn't believe what he was hearing. Some of us are out there in the world who kill for a family. He flinched at the word kill. He paused. You had said, us? His hurt heart. Had you not thought of him as your family? Some people don't get a family. They take theirs for granted. Why should a family determine who does and who doesn't? And what about the money you get from that? You're going to tell me that you have right cause for that too? Bakugo growled, changing the subject. He let out a harsh noise that wasn't quite a laugh. You stiffened. Let me guess, you used it for something stupid knowing you couldn't even handle money the right way. You gave him a hard look. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand why are you, the sweet and beautiful woman I fell in love with, can lie. You lied to me the day in and out about yourself. I don't even understand how you can go and kill people like it's nothing. And then you say that you're cleansing the world. I don't know you. And I don't know how you can take the life of anyone and justify it by saying that they were evil anyway, and that it doesn't matter if they suffered from their family. Bakugo told you. You stared at him. Bakugo gave you a look of disbelief. I don't even know you anymore. You felt your chest tighten in pain at his word. Come on, Katsuki, don't say that. Don't even try and change my mind about this. Bakugo growled, shutting you up. You felt tears spring to your eyes. The room was silent for a moment. Bakugo moved, starting towards you. I'm taking you in. You stiffened. You what? I'm arresting you. He moved, pulling out a pair of capturing cuffs that limited quirks. You went rigid. I have no choice. He neared you. You were fast in launching away from him. He was surprised at how fast you moved. You tore your apron off and tossed it aside as you used the couch as a barrier between the two of you. Don't make it harder than it has to be. I should be saying that to you. You're trying to arrest your own wife. What? You retorted. Bakugo turned, launching towards you. You disappeared into the shadow, moving and making your way to the door. Bakugo managed to speed for you, grabbing at your hair. You had a slight nose of paint, but instead turned, surprising him by grabbing his first. You flipped him over your head and took his arm cuff to cuff. Oi! You turned, starting towards the door. Bakugo grabbed your ankles, yanking you through the door, your face planting on your living room's hard floor, wincing as the air was knocked out of you. Bakugo yanked the capturing cuff from you, tried and locked them on. He clasped one of them over your wrist. You were fast in rolling over and punching him in the jaw. He grunted in pain, falling back and releasing you. You grabbed his arms and popped it out of his socket, earning a cry of pain. You heard hurt for him, but you ignored it, knowing he would do everything to capture you. You scrambled up and away from him. He watched you unlock the capture card from around your own wrist. You dropped it on the floor, looking up at him. Is that what you really want, Katsuki? He started to push himself up, his arms aged as he had forgotten that you dislocated. He propped up on the other arm. You want me to be the villain? You are a villain. You gave him a soft smile. He paused as he saw it pass over your face. He moved, kicking the capturing cuff away from the door. You pulled it open. You paused, glancing back at him. He stared at you silently. Your eyes traced over him. You turned and looked forward. I guess I'll be the villain then. Instead of shutting the door, you disappeared in the shadows. He stared at the blank space where you had been. His eyes went wide. He stayed still. A footstep came running into the house. Kirishima gaped at him. Bakugo! Kirishima rushed to him. You idiot! What were you doing? What were you thinking? Shit. Dislocated my shoulder. Bakugo grunted. Kirishima huffed at him, moving to help his friend up. Kirishima frowned, putting the capturing cuff down the hole. Bakugo didn't say anything, scrolling hard to himself. Kirishima sighed. She got away. He murmured. Bakugo didn't look at him. Kirishima frowned. You let her get away, bro. The fuck you saying? Are you dumping my abilities? No, I'm dumping your heart. Kirishima muttered. Bakugo went rigid. Kirishima sighed. Whatever. Let's get you to the hospital, okay? And pop your shoulder back in place. We'll try to keep this as quiet as we can in the media.
君は終えていますか